Happy Thursday evening, everybody. This is Laura Dion-Jones. I am your Commit to Get Fit, motivational maven, weight loss expert, lifestyle, fashion, you name it. I'm an expert at it. Coming to you from Chicago. We are interrupting my regular Thursday night Commit to Get Fit class because I wanted to go over a new weight loss technique that has just come on the market, and it was on the news this morning, and so I'm going to read parts of it from NBC 5 News, and then I will give you my take on it. And it's called Balloon You Can Swallow Fights Obesity. A new type of stomach-filling balloon can help people drop pounds, and it doesn't require any surgery to place it, researchers reported Thursday. Patients can just swallow the deflated balloon, and doctors can use a narrow catheter to fill it with water. The balloon makes it harder to overeat. Now, I want to say something about that before I go on. The balloon may make it harder to overeat. Gastric bypass might make it harder to overeat, and gastric lap band may make it harder to overeat. And here's my problem with all of those. Even in this study, they're going to tell you about how successful these operations and these techniques are. I've talked to many doctors in Chicago at Northwestern and the University of Chicago, and all over the country, and every one of them tells me that I am really good at back end support for any gastric bypass surgeries, because 80 to 95% of them fail. They have a 5 to 20% success rate no matter what they tell you. And a lot of it is the medical profession just wanting to line their pockets with gold. We have an obesity epidemic, as you all know, and we have to do something about it, but it all starts with you. So this balloon that you swallow, any kind of gastric surgeries, in the end, it's all up to you. And let me give you a case in point. Chris Christie, about 18 months ago, had a gastric lap band. Now, I knew that it wasn't going to work well for him, as it hasn't worked for a lot of other people that I know, because I know their problem isn't overeating mass quantities. The problem is they eat too much white starch and sugar, and it's the white starch and sugar carbohydrates that are keeping us fat. So if you get something that's going to prohibit you from overeating, it is the quality of what you're eating. If you do nothing but eat white starch and sugar, if you do nothing but, like a friend of mine, eat candy and M&Ms and everything, you will not lose weight. You still have to count your carbohydrates. You still have to do daily exercise. So back to the study. The study was presented at Obesity Week meeting in Los Angeles, and it shows the balloon pill works at least as well as other stomach balloons to help people lose weight. It's a swallowable balloon, much like a large pill. People will swallow it, and it will reside in the stomach. That personally just creeps me out. Said Dr. John Morton, chief of bariatric surgery at Stanford University and president of the American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery. He and I are going to have a talk. It then gets inflated with a very thin catheter. Roughly about a half a liter of fluid goes into the balloon. Dr. Morton was not involved in the study, he told NBC News. After 4 months, 34 patients trying out the balloon lost an average of 22 pounds, or 30% of their excess weight. If that was 37% of their excess weight, they were not really that morbidly obese. Think about it. Their cholesterol and blood sugar levels also improved, something that usually happens when people lose even a little weight. And that is true. If you lose 5 or 10% of your weight, it is going to improve your biometric numbers. As with other gastric balloons, the most common adverse events reported were nausea and vomiting. What makes the Elipse, that's the name of this, Elipse, what makes the Elipse different is the fact that it is a procedure that doesn't require sedation or surgery. The Food and Drug Administration has approved 2 other gastric balloons this year, one called Obera and the other called Reshape. They are meant for people who are medically obese, meaning their body mass index, their BMI, is 30 or more. The number is 30 or more. who have been unable to lose weight through diet and exercise. And my contention from working with thousands of people is the reason that most people can't lose weight because of diet and exercise is because they are on the wrong diet for them. And 99% of the time, it's the white starch and sugar carbohydrates, which we can get into in depth. Email me at lauradionjones@gmail.com or go to my website and email me through my website. There's also a pacemaker-like device that controls appetite with pulses, but which also requires surgery. You know what? Stay away from the surgical stuff. In the end, it all does come right down to you. The unique aspect about this Elipse balloon is that it also has the ability to dissolve and be passed out on its own without any further intervention. Which, I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. If you're interested, you're going to have to do more research on this. It will be several years before the new balloon has been through enough testing to get approved by the FDA. But obesity experts like this Dr. Morton are happy that there are so many new options for obese Americans. My option is cut the white starch and sugar carbs, go on a modified Atkins, and combine it with daily cardio. It's also a new tool to help us deal with obesity, which is our biggest public health problem, and we need all hands on deck. All different types of devices and innovations that are available to us. You don't need new devices and new innovations, doctors in the medical profession and the media. What you need is to convince people that white starch and sugar are the culprits to obesity. More than 2/3 of Americans are overweight or obese, and the problem is getting worse. And it truly is. Even with all these medical and media experts out there, the problem is getting worse. Because people don't want to believe that it's white starch and sugar carbohydrates, because the medical profession, a lot of the medical profession, not all, and most of the media is convinced that it's, low carb isn't the way to go. And trust me, after living a lifetime as a chronically obese woman, being up to 300 pounds 3 times in my life, I lost 150 pounds. And my claim to fame is that I've kept it off for 13 years. And that's what I do, as I help people to do the same thing, do it on their own. Obesity drugs have not been greatly successful in helping people lose weight, although several are now on the market. Several more were removed from the shelf years ago after they were found to cause problems such as stroke. So, you're overweight. You're at risk for stroke and heart attack. You don't want to be fooling around with drugs, believe me. My doctor, when new pills would come on the market and I first started to lose weight with him, and I would say, oh, please, let me go on this, let me go on that. And he has a rule of thumb. He will not prescribe any drug for anyone unless it's been on the market for 1 year minimum, 12 to 18 months, because that's when all the crap starts showing up, all the adverse effects. Diets have been shown to be equally bad at helping people keep off the pounds for long periods of time, but surgical procedures to shrink the stomach have been very successful. Not true. 80% fail. One study showed the surgery helped people to lose enough weight to reverse their type 2 diabetes, which is true. But if you cut the white starch and sugar from your diet, and if you start walking daily, and if you start walking 10 minutes or whatever, we can do a whole segment on walking, because I am an absolute walking maven. I'm an elite walker. Since January 1st of 2003, I have walked over 45,000 miles. I am considered an elite walker. I walk as much in a week as marathon runners run to train. Balloons were designed as a way to get the same effect, decreasing how much food the stomach can hold without the invasive surgery. Again, I don't believe it's the overeating as much as eating the wrong things. If you get the stomach surgery and you're eating pasta and bread and in moderation, let me tell you something. If you're chronically obese, your moderation meter is broken. And if you cut the white starch and sugar and you break the white starch and sugar carbohydrate habit, let me tell you this, you won't be ravenously hungry and you won't overeat. You will be full. Trust me, because I was up to 300 pounds 3 times in my life. And for me to keep this weight off into my 13th year is amazing. Okay, here's another caveat. Right now, none of the balloons are covered by most insurance plans. the cost will range anywhere from probably $6,000 to $12,000, depending on your part of the country. It's something that is generally out of pocket, but there are other means of paying for it, like health savings accounts, etc. And obviously getting some sort of treatment it's got its own benefit, to be sure. But the good news is that there are now many different possibilities for people struggling with their weight, and there is, except it all boils down to you. It boils down to the white starch and sugar, the overconsumption of white starch and sugar, too many white starch and sugar carbohydrates, and not enough daily cardio. And here's another thing that the Dr. Morton said. I would highly encourage anyone who's got a BMI over 30 to seek help and see what's available for you, because there are options and there is more hope, says Dr. Morton. I just want to tell you something that to stress again. It ain't what the quantities, the mass quantities that you're eating. It's what kind of mass quantities you're eating. You're hungry, you're ravenous because you're addicted to white starch and sugar. You break that carbohydrate addiction. You start walking a minimum of 1 hour a day, every single day, rain or shine, and I will help you get motivated. I will teach you how to do it. I will share all my tips and tricks with you that I use to lose my 150 pounds and that I continue to lose to keep it off into my 13th year. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, my Periscope friends who are international. I want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. And if you have any questions, concerns, or you would like some help, please go to my website, commit-fit.com or LauraDion-Jones.com. And I will see you next time, and we'll be talking about walking, because all of a sudden that's the new fitness craze, walking. And I've been doing it since '02, seriously since January 1st of '03. So again, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we'll see you next time. Laura Dion-Jones, Commit to Get Fit from Chicago. Bye, everybody.